What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. So as we are now in the new year, the Wacken Metal Battle is starting up once again. For those who don't know, the Wacken Metal Battle is exactly as it sounds. It is a global battle of the bands for bands to compete from their hometown all the way to the stage at Wacken. I've always loved this. I've always thought it's a really cool way for a lot of these local bands to kind of get their foot in the door to a global audience. And in the past, I got to compete in this twice. One of the times actually winning the show for my hometown. So I wanted to do a video talking about what I believe bands need to do to succeed at this, along with some of the things they should expect along the way. Let's get right into it. So when my old band won, it was the first show of the Ottawa series, which there was 2 shows, 8 bands in total. And the first thing we did was we actually went to the venue and measured out the entire stage. And with this, we actually went to our rehearsal studio we were playing at and marked out with a painter's tape how big the stage was, so we knew where we could kind of move around on stage, where monitors were and where the drum rise was, and we could reverse the exact show on technically the exact stage before the actual show. And by doing this meant our choreography was on point, and we actually knew what we were doing on stage. It wasn't just headless chickens running around. With that said, the choreography. You might have one member in your band who doesn't think it's important, but trust me, it is. A while ago, I got to see a band called Distorthead, a death metal band from Montreal, Quebec. And you can tell they practice. Their choreography on stage is in sync. They all know exactly what they're supposed to be doing during every single song. And they actually look the part on stage. They're all dressed right. They all look right. When I say choreography, I don't mean you need to go full Backstreet Boys and have everyone dancing all over the stage, but you do need to know what you're doing on stage. But kind of running off that, how you dress. How you dress is important. I have seen bands go on with one person kind of dressed like this, one person in the full tasseled trench coat with the black metal face paint on, and you have one person that's in their collared golf shirt, and then another person off in a muscle shirt. They don't look like they're all in the same band, and it shows. So again, you don't need to be wearing all the exact same uniform, but you do all need to look like you're in the same band. The judges will be looking at how you're dressed, and they will be looking at kind of what swag you got on. It's one piece of criticism I've got in the past, and it's something that I progressively got better at, but it's one thing that will be looked at whilst you're on stage. The next thing you need to focus on is what you're playing on stage, which this may seem a little redundant because of course you're going to figure out your set list, but you need to make sure it's the perfect set list. And if you think going easy just because you can bang these songs out really well is the way to go, you're wrong. It doesn't work. Frankly, you should be able to bang out every song you've written, no problem, when you hit that stage. People are paying money to see you, you need to nail it every night. So if you're gonna do this, go bold. What we did when I was with my old band, we opened with a song that was a solid opener, and we knew that would get people going right off the start. Song 2 was a bit slower, but different, and worked really well as the second song in the set. It was unique enough and it completely separated itself from the first and the last song we played, and it actually had some chanting sections. We get the crowd involved. Engaging the crowd's gonna be an important factor. They're gonna be looking at that. If you're able to actually do it, you're gonna look great. But also, back to the set list we did, we closed with a song that was over 13 minutes long. It was the best song we had. It was so well written. My old guitarist did a phenomenal job on it. And I'm not too egotistic enough to say, that was our mic drop, or we knew we'd win if we played that song. But it was the strongest thing we had. And yeah, it was like 13 minutes and 40 seconds. It's a bit much to play, or can be a bit much to play, but we knew it was the strongest thing we had. And truthfully, I thought of this set list. I fought with my band for like 2 weeks to actually play this set, and we did, and we won. The last thing I'm going to say about your show is the stage. Now, you don't need to bring a lot of stage with you, but if you can, you're going to separate yourself from the other bands. When we did this, we had a few banners on stage, we had some strobe lights, we actually had synced up to the song, and the sound guy shut off the house lights while we had the strobes going off, and somehow we both timed it out beautifully so they came back on right at the right moment, which that's just dumb luck. I wouldn't expect that for any band or even my old band. Nonetheless, it looked good. I said last thing, but one more thing to slide in there, your banter. Make sure your banter is engaging with the crowd. Make sure it's not awkward, and make sure it actually looks like you've been reversed it just a little bit. Anyone who's played with a lot of local bands or seen a lot of local bands has seen some cringy banter. But the ones that are reversed and the ones that come off professional make you look great once again. So that's my list of things that you can do to make your show the best it possibly can be. But I want to add in just a couple things to expect. One, you're going to get criticism. Criticism isn't inherently bad. You need to be able to work with it. You need to be able to listen to it. And if it's just something saying, I didn't think that song was cool, no, you can't work with that. It's not helpful, but you're not going to be able to win everyone over. Don't take it personally. It is what it is. Move on from it. Another one, and this is one that my old band came across, I've heard a number of other bands come across, the judges may be biased. I'm not saying every judge is biased, that would be insane to say, but I am saying that if you're to go to a different city and there are local bands playing at that venue against you that night, the judges might be biased. When we won, we ended up going to Montreal to do what I think was the Quebec finals, which they grouped all the Ottawa bands in there. And I heard a few of the judges say we were Quebec biased, and the band that won, the judges were openly buddies with. So it didn't really matter what happened. And I'm not saying we should have won. Truthfully, we did not have a hot show that night, but the band that did deserve to win came from Quebec City, and they didn't. The band that won ended up going to the Canadian finals and lost. No shade or hate on them, but I'm just saying what happened. The last thing I'm going to say though is make sure you know you're right for the show. If you're going to go into a metal show, make sure you're a metal band. Now that may seem like the most basic dumb thing I've said this entire video, but the last time I watched one of these shows, I watched a band that was themed off like 90s grunge to go do this, and it just did not fly, and purely based on what kind of music they're playing, they lost. And that's not me saying they did a bad job, that is me saying that they did not bring the right kind of music for a metal battle of the bands. Oh, last thing. Last thing. Practice, practice, practice. You will never be able to practice too much or get too tight at your instrument. Practice your set. So that is my take on what you can do to improve your odds at winning at things like the Wacken Metal Battle or any battle of bands in general. But I want to know, what do you think? Are you going to be entering into the Wacken Metal Battle? Have you done these? Have you won anything like this? Let me know in the comments. Also, what tips would you give other bands? Comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed it, if you've seen. I tend to post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.